Hello, everyone. Carter Kushner here with Florida Squeeze. I hope everybody's doing well on this evening or night after the election. Um, from our perspective at our site, obviously not the results we had hoped for in the state of Florida uh, in terms of everything, up and down, including constitutional amendments, including constitutional offices in individual counties. Wanted to know, for those of you who are new to our channel, joined our channel during the election, we go 24/7 or 365 days a year. We are now 12 years old, right? We were right after the 2012 election, and we cover Florida history very closely. In fact, we have a sister podcast, a Florida history podcast, that you can subscribe to on Apple Podcasts or Overcast, Spotify, all the normal podcast apps. And our website is thefloridasqueeze.com. And on Twitter, and I'm not the one who tweets for other people we have around the state, parts of the state who do the tweeting. And that is FLA Squeeze, at FLA Squeeze. Although we're sort of not sure what to do necessarily about that platform, given our our views on Elon Musk and maybe the coming plutocracy here in the United States, with J.D. Vance as the vice president. Anyway, J.D. Vance is not relevant to this discussion, nor really is Donald Trump, except to a certain extent. Let's talk a little bit why Democrats continuously fail in Florida, because we have had 24 or 26 years of failure, going back to the 1998 election when Jeb Bush won the governorship in a big margin, 98, and Democrats lost 7 state house seats that day, the day that Bush was elected. So that really is kind of where the timeline starts. The state house had flipped in 2020, in 1996, the state house had flipped, but it was 61-59 after that election. There were some party switches, but then things raced away from the Democrats in the legislature starting in 98. And we have had continuous failures. We have had continuous underperforming, even when Democrats win. I think the only time Democrats adequately performed the state up and down the ballot was in 2012. Since 1998. I think that's the only time. Even in the wave elections of 2006 and 2008. In 2008, obviously, won Obama. There were down ballot problems. There were down ballot issues. There were races down ballot that needed to be won, that weren't won. And so I'm reminded of my own history in all of this. This past week, the Post did a retrospective on the 2000 recount. They had a picture in there, and the picture included me with the supervisor of elections, Teresa Lepore, serving as a Democratic observer there. I played a very big role in the 2000 recount. And the Democratic Party's fundamental problem in Florida has been a lack of organization on the ground level in counties outside of the urban counties. So the Democrats, when I was working for the state party, was the handled field for the state party, we had good turnout operations in counties like Volusia and Brevard and Polk and even actually Lake County. I spent a lot of time with the Lake DEC that period, and Sarasota County and Collier County. These are counties now that are delivering massive margins to Republicans. And there may be some Democrats up in Washington who say, oh, well, those are rural counties. No, not rural counties. Rural counties don't have 700,000 residents. Polk County has 700,000 residents. Lee is close to 800,000 now. Brevard, Volusia, I think, are both 600,000 or so. When the time period I'm talking about, 2002, 2004, 2006, running around the state doing this stuff, had 450,000 or 500,000 people. I mean, they've always been large. In other states, they'd be considered large counties. But Florida is made up of a lot of bedroom communities. We talked about in past videos. They're made up of a lot of single-family subdivisions with zero lot line homes. Democrats have never had enough data or a good enough understanding of the terrain and the type of people moving into those places to really capture the people moving in. So let me give this example. 2017, I'm the alarm very openly about, hey, there are a lot of new people from the Midwest moving in. And by the way, this is after Trump wins Florida in 2016. Very close election against Hillary Clinton in Florida. Surprising, right, that he had won Florida. We thought Florida was going to Hillary. Hey, there are all of these new people moving into the areas of eastern Hillsborough County, Pasco County, even northern and western Palm Beach County. Many, if not most of them, are coming from the Midwest. Most of them are registering as NPAs. We're seeing this in the national change of address, and we're seeing this in the voter file. I was pushed back on very aggressively and actually cut out of working on the 2018 campaigns because the pushback was, oh, we have a bunch of Puerto Ricans displaced by Hurricane Maria, and they're moving to Orange and Osceola County. And my pushback against that was, those people are probably NPAs. They don't have direct Democratic affiliations. You have to work them. You have to win them on more than identity. And in fact, I dealt with the alliance politics in my previous job as a soccer executive with a professional soccer league. We had a team by Bayamon, which is near San Juan metro area. And it was a very political team, right? There were politicians involved with the team. So I understood the island's politics and the alliances on the island pretty well. So realize these are not automatic Democratic voters. Yeah, they lean Democratic, but they could go either way. And last night we saw Osceola County with a huge Puerto Rican population go for Donald Trump. First time Republican has won that county in 20 years. We saw bleed in Orange County. We saw 3 state house seats that probably should have been won by the Democrats last night that were not won by the Democrats because of Latino votes, mostly Puerto Rican, in the Orlando and Kissimmee areas. So this is another reason why the Democrats lose. They don't want to accept data. They don't want to accept pushback. And they've had very much the same consultants running things who lose elections and lose election cycle after election cycle, but they double as lobbyists, whether it's on the county level in big urban counties, Miami-Dade, Broward, Hillsborough, or in Tallahassee, right? A lot of them lie in Tallahassee. They are more concerned about inter-party squabbles and being protective of their own kind of kingdoms than actually building a robust party, which includes broad coalitions of people in different parts of the state, not just in the urban areas where they're comfortable, or in Tallahassee where they're very comfortable. And then there's also, and my friend Steve Schale, who is not one of these people, by the way. Steve Schale is one of the good ones. Steve has pointed out to me for years, and pointed out publicly to people for years, including in some of his appearances in national media, about the influence of outside organizations, C4s, the NGOs, the outsourcing of things like voter registration and GOTV to outside organizations that tend to be liberal, or actually not even liberal, that's not the right term anymore for these groups, progressive activist groups that are focused on things around the issues of race and identity and don't have any comfort working outside of urban areas or outside of minority communities in some cases. And so that has led to a situation where there are so many Democrats or potential Democrats that are untouched, whether it's in kind of a wider suburban neighborhood or whether it's in these tier 2 counties I'm talking about, the Volusias, the Pascos, the Lees, Sarasota, up in Marion County, the Ocala area, which is going heavily Republican and is growing by leaps and bounds. There are far more people in Marion County now than there are in Alachua County just to the north, where I went to school at the University of Florida close to 30 years ago. At the time, Alachua was bigger than Marion. It's not anymore. Marion is significantly larger, has significantly more people, and that's more and more Republicans every cycle. So I think basic misunderstanding of data, misunderstanding of the size of some of these places. I think Democrats very much think about their urban counties, the really truly urban counties in this state, of which there are, well, we can count them: Duval, which is Jacksonville; Pinellas, which is St. Petersburg; Hillsborough, which is Tampa; Orange, which is Orlando; Palm Beach, which is West Palm; Broward, which is Fort Lauderdale, and Miami-Dade, which is Miami. And then you can throw Osceola and Seminole, which are surrounding Orlando counties, which are heavily urbanized, into that. So 9 urban counties really in the state. They think about those 9 urban counties, Leon and Alachua, and that's it. So they're always going to get beat in this state. They're always going to lose unless that mindset changes. Let's just be honest about it. Like, we've seen this, that the Republicans are racking up bigger margins because, again, it's not urban versus rural. Okay, the rural counties don't add up to much in Florida. Okay, Republicans can win 99% of the vote there. It doesn't mean that much. What matters is places like Ocala, places like Sarasota, places like Fort Myers, that's Lee County, places like Melbourne and Palm Bay and Cocoa, that's Brevard, places like Daytona and Deltona, that's Volusia, places like St. Augustine and Ponte Vedra and Nocatee, that's St. John's, and several other counties, Pasco, Newport Richey, right? Lake County I mentioned, that's Leesburg, and those areas, right? And part of the villages is in there. If they don't, and St. Lucie, we did a whole video on St. Lucie County a couple of weeks ago, right? St. Lucie's another one, which is racing away from the Democrats. It used to be a bellwether county. It used to be a county the Democrats would win when they would win statewide. Now a county that's so far from them that there's a chance they're going to win statewide because it's very indicative of the rest of the state. So this is Florida, and this is what's happened. A combination of consultants, a combination of not trusting data, a combination of not knowing where the voters are moving, and not knowing the demographic trends in the state. All of this stuff is added up to a state that was a purple state, which Barack Obama won twice, which the Democrats were able to consistently hold a Senate seat in which the Democrats were consistently able to compete in the other Senate seat, right? Win that other Senate seat, the Senate seat they didn't hold, and a state where the Democrats didn't win the governorship this millennium. It's the only state east of the Mississippi where the Democrats haven't held the governorship since the year 2000. But the Democrats have held Republicans under 50% in 3 gubernatorial races, and it's been 49-49, and they've lost by, or 49-48, they've lost by 50,000 votes. A bunch of votes have gone to the Libertarian or whatever. That we've gone from that to a state which Donald Trump won 13 points, and quite honestly, 2 years from now, the Republican gubernatorial candidate may win by 20, the way things are going. So that's how quickly that's happening. And you could say, oh, well, Florida's an outlier. No, it really isn't. I mean, we're seeing national trends. Like, there's a lot of copium going on, for lack of a better term, if you want to use a kind of a drug term, about numbers we were seeing the last couple of weeks among Democrats. And it was just, oh, well, Florida, Florida's gone for the Democrats. It's not like that in Pennsylvania or, these places the Democrats have to win, Arizona. But it really was. What we saw in Florida, we started seeing Florida numbers reported at 7. And we saw how bad the numbers were. I think unless you were completely delusional, you had to know that Harris was running significantly worse than Biden in a lot of the country. And in fact, I think there are only a few counties that in the entire country where Harris ran better than Biden. A few of them were in Wisconsin, ironically enough. But those might have been the only ones, right? The WOW, the WOW counties in Wisconsin, and then maybe 1 or 2 of the counties around Atlanta. But interestingly and importantly, not Clayton, Fulton, or DeKalb, where you have heavy black populations. She dropped off from Biden's number there. But anyway, some of these things are important, even though we're saying Florida's probably on for the Democrats in the foreseeable future, because you see national trends here. This is a mega state. We have 22 million people. We have a kind of representative sample in many ways of the population nationally. And you're seeing why Democrats lose and how quickly they've lost control of this state. And a lot of it is just not understanding demographics and not understanding data and not understanding what's staring them in the face. Elitism, cognitive dissonance. These are all significant issues with Democrats in Florida. And I think probably significant issues with the Democrats nationally. Anyway, thank you for watching us during this election cycle. We're going to continue to make these videos. And again, we have a lot of actual nature videos also on our channel, different natural areas in the to Florida and historical videos. And as I said, we have a sister podcast, which is the Florida History Podcast. Our site is thefloridasqueeze.com. And our Twitter handle is FLA Squeeze. And we're going to continue to make some videos about this election as we get data back from the election. But kind of the takeaway on the Democrats and their continued ineptitude in Florida.